In this pump episode, good gravy, for the fourth day in a row, Bitcoin continues to follow this pattern that we've been talking about as the exact inverse of the summer of last year. However, we're coming up on a very, very important level, even as we break through 11,000 US dollars. Will this pump continue? Are we about to see a much bigger explosion? Or are we about to head into some resistance at this price level? Some confirmed bullish divergence on the hourly chart led to this very explosive break to about 11,100 so far at the time of recording. We are inching up. We are extremely close to that first big resistance that we talked about in yesterday's video. And as well, the weekly RSI coming up to a very key level that if it would break, guys, then we would see a break past 12K and potentially even 13K. So we're going to be diving into that on these charts as well. Good gooby gumdrops. All eyes on Fed Reserve rate announcement as Bitcoin fights for 11K. And guys, could a vaccine actually spark a crash? We're going to be diving into that and why I don't think that is relevant. Welcome back to the channel, men, women, children, and everything in between. Guys, we have a lot to delve into in today's webisode because for the fourth day in a row, this pattern that we've been talking about is actually still playing out. This is the most bullish pattern that we've been talking about, and here we are on day 4. Will this continue, and what is the ultimate breakout target if this entire fractal does end up repeating? Because, believe it or not, we're not actually even close to what the actual complete target of it would be if it would continue to keep pumping. So much news today, guys. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on those post notifications so you get updated when we upload new content, and as well, make sure to drop your comments to enter for this Ledger giveaway. In your comment below, include if you think this is a massive fake out or if you think we are actually beginning the disbelief or actually ending the disbelief phase of the market psychology cheat sheet, which, if that is the case, guys, then we'll be breaking all-time highs within the next few months at maximum, if that is actually the case. Massive. So we can start off on the weekly chart with Bitcoin, and the main thing we've been talking about on this weekly chart is this RSI, and we've gotten a bounce at this key level. This is the thing that I've been most excited about for weeks now, getting a bounce at about this 53-54 line on the weekly RSI, which we found support 4 times over the period of over 2 years during the last bull cycle. It was the ultimate signifier of maintaining a bullish market. And when we broke out of it back in January, back about January 22nd of 2018, marked the end of the bull cycle, right? So for me, this RSI and specifically this line dictated what was a bull market and what was not a bull market. And guys, we've gotten that significant bounce here on the weekly after trying to pretty much holding above that ever since the March crash, right? So this has been a very key level. But something really important to note is that when we first broke above this in January 2020, before the unexpected cataclysm with the global markets and Bitcoin and gold and silver and everything, we found heavy resistance right around the 62, right? And these are 2 key levels that I'm eyeing up for Bitcoin, which if we break both of these levels, then there's literally nothing standing in our way. But we're not going to get too excited yet because, as you can see on this chart, we haven't quite broken those levels just yet. Okay, so we need to be watching out for that. It's about the 60 and the 62 on the RSI. And if we go back, you can see these are key levels back in the bull market of 2016 and 17 as well, right? So very key bounce levels and very key resistance levels after it turned into resistance. Once we break the 62 on the weekly RSI, I think we're going to see a massive explosion. We're going to be breaking through 13, 14, and we're going to be well on our way to breaking all-time highs. But guys, all right, very exciting stuff. But again, keep in mind, we have not done that just yet. Guys, if we switch to this chart, what we said about resistance yesterday was actually right around 11,200, which is exactly where this 4 hourly moving average is and where the 7-year previous support turn resistance is now. Okay, we've been trading below this blue support line for the longest time in history of the last 7 years. Okay, so again, that's why we're a little more bearish. But if we break above this, I've always said if we break above this, this is when we get bullish, and to actually break above it would be about 11,300. So even though we have inched up, we've gotten within $200 of this so far. By the time this gets uploaded, maybe we'll break it. But ultimately, if we break that and then hold that for support, okay, it's a key holding that. If we can break and maintain that, then again, we're going to flip very, very short-term bullish. But again, guys, okay, we haven't done it just yet. Now, keep an eye on the charts. If we break and hold 11.3, then based on what I'm showing you, then I think that's very bullish. And most importantly, guys, the pattern we've been talking about now for the fourth day in a row is this very interesting inverse of this previous break where we had this. I mean, we already went through it a few times, so I'm not going to go through every single detail again. But basically, parabolic move up to be breaking basically this area here, which was the previous last lower high that is significant on this chart, right? If we zoom out, guys, you can see on this chart, this is the very significant last lower high. If we break this, then literally the absolute only thing that Bitcoin has not done so far in this bullish move, if we break this, is breaking all-time highs. So basically, I'll say that again, if we break this key level here and this move does end up completing, if we do continue this momentum over the next week, and let's say we smash through 13 and 14,000 and we cement a higher high and get rid of this lower high, all right? We have a high above that. If that happens, then literally the only bullish thing that Bitcoin has not done so far would be to break all-time highs. Now, guys, think about that for a second. Imagine Bitcoin does break all-time highs. What are you going to be doing if Bitcoin smashes through? Let's say Bitcoin hits 21,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. What are you going to be doing? I'll tell you one thing. People will be extremely euphoric. Headlines across the board. That is when the true rally, the true excitement, the true exuberance, and the true growth of Bitcoin will get explosive, right? This, to me, I mean, everyone agrees with this. This is the trigger. As soon as we break all-time highs, guys, you're not even going to have time to gather your breath. I sincerely hope you have all your exchanges set up. I hope you have all your positions. I hope you have all the crypto you want before we break 20,000 US dollars, because by the time we're breaking 20, I really don't think it'll take much longer to break 25, 30, right? This thing could get very explosive very fast. So again, make sure you have everything situated before we approach those levels. Huge. And if you're an experienced trader and you want to trade these markets, make sure to use the links below to get very nice bonuses and trading fee reductions for the next few weeks, but only if you're an experienced trader, and those links do help support the channel. Guys, so with that being said, what I am eyeing up is actually a move to about 11.2 and a rejection there in the short term, very similar to like what we said yesterday, right? So what we said on these short time frames yesterday was this. We actually had bearish divergence yesterday, and guys, what that bearish divergence was showing us was a pullback to 10.6, and we got 10.67, so we were within $50 of that, right? We were showing that this was on the 1 hour chart a bearish divergence where we topped out at about a 10.9, and we ended up coming all the way back to 10.66, so 10,660, where we said a nice retest would be about 10,600. So again, extremely close there, what we were talking about on the short term for a bearish pullback. But again, as you can see here, we have this bullish divergence with the price trending upwards and the RSI trending downwards here. And that is what pushed us, in my opinion, on these short time frames up to this very key level, right? So we're seeing a little bit of resistance right now, about slightly above 11,000, but this is absolutely key, right? The most obvious thing right now is holding 11,000. That is by far, again, every $1,000 is a huge psychological number. So, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000. Clearly now we're breaking another 1,000. So we will want to maintain that. We will want to hold that as support, and then we can continue to get bullish. But remember, guys, I hesitate to get short-term bullish to match up with my mid and long-term bullish outlook until we break 11,300. Okay. So we're still a few $100s away from that, but so far this is looking very nice. What we do see with the altcoins here is still, we see them actually, like we always talk about, when Bitcoin gains more dominance, when Bitcoin goes on a run, initially we do see altcoins lag behind, and they actually do dump for the most part. So with that being said, Ethereum is actually holding still pretty strongly right around 370, but still below both of the key daily moving averages, the 21 and the 50. And as well, we still had that cross. But like we said, this entire pattern, the whole point of this pattern was we get a bearish cross, but we do the opposite of it, right? That was the exact point of this entire thing. So when we got a bullish cross, we had a bearish break, and we're getting this bearish break, we expected a bullish cross, right? That was kind of the significant part about this pattern. Now with Chainlink as well, what we see is this. We're actually breaking below the key level we talked about yesterday. So breaking below that $11 mark, I actually am eyeing up the potential now to go all the way down to $8 or $9. So with an altcoin like Chainlink and with some of these other alts, actually I do think we could actually continue to see more downside. Okay, as we're potentially very bullish in the short term for Bitcoin, that's not the case for all the altcoins, right? And I think Chainlink is a pretty good indicator of a lot of these alts. And obviously, most importantly, is Ethereum. But as well, we have the S&P not doing amazing today, but it's actually kind of just holding this very key support that we want to see. Okay, so earlier today, Bitcoin was pumping and the S&P was actually in a red candle. You can see here it came all the way down to about 3,400. Currently it's about 3,411, but so far, as long as the S&P doesn't dump, which is all we're asking, then we'll see Bitcoin continue to pump. But as well with the S&P's 21-day moving average, this is going to be very, very important to hold. As we talked about, Bitcoin wants to break 11.2 and 11.3 specifically to get really bullish. Similarly here with the S&P, we want this to break 34.30 and hold that. We want to get back above this 21-day moving average. Okay, all this stuff is correlated and all of it lines up. So if the S&P ends up getting a very strong rejection here, guys, what's going to happen? Bitcoin is going to dump. I feel very confident saying that if we get a strong rejection here, and by golly, if we would actually come back down to this 50-day moving average around 33.40, then Bitcoin would 100%. Actually, in my opinion, that's when we would fill that gap, right? If we would get a rejection here, then I think that's exactly when Bitcoin would fill the gap, which has still not filled the CME gap. Again, we don't think it has to, but you bet your booty if the S&P gets rejected, a strong rejection off this 21-day, and get anywhere close to this 50-day again, this 50-day moving average, then yeah, I definitely think Bitcoin has a lot more downside if that would happen. And as well, guys, I just want to talk about this potential for a vaccine, as Robert Kiyosaki is saying that if there would be a vaccine for this virus, it could actually crash Bitcoin. And I want to say I understand exactly why he's saying that, because one of the reasons he believes Bitcoin is doing really well right now because of how uncertain traditional markets look, right? And especially with the Fed printing unlimited money. And he's saying if we get that vaccine, then people will not be looking for alternatives such as Bitcoin, such as gold, which it makes sense in the short term. But also he says here, gold, silver, and Bitcoin are the best investments long term, right? So in general, though, even though he's saying that, it's more of like a clickbait headline. It's not necessarily saying this will kill Bitcoin or anything. In fact, he's still bullish on Bitcoin. Wow, so make sure to leave your comment below and actually include what you think about this move. Do you think it's a fake out, or in fact, do you think this is actually the very real pump? And as well, guys, there are only a few days left to get 20% off a Ledger Nano X or S on their site. You can use the link below if you want to support the channel as well. And if you want to trade these markets and you have experience, make sure to use the links below where you get some very nice deposit bonuses on each exchange. And Bybit specifically has some very nice trading fee reductions for the next few days.